This is 2350 class, Wednesday class, and we'll be looking at lab assignment 2, which is the pen tool. You can navigate to the server to access the assignment. So if you do Command K to connect, again click on your desktop and select from home. You will have to type all this in, public, and then the $ at the end. Select that, connect, and navigate to lab materials, DIGM 2350, and you have lab assigned 2. Now I want you to start saving and then have a copy of this to your documents folder on a server. Okay, so this time you want to navigate to your name and save it, okay, to your documents. So you should be able to move this lab assignment 2 to your documents folder. So go ahead and just drag it in there like this. So you should have a copy. So now we will open up our lab assignment 2, and I'm going to go back to my folder and open it. I guess I can go here, documents, lab assignment 2, and we will actually start with the pen tool and class exercise. So bring that up. I'm just going to drag it in there. Put that in. Now here, do you notice your layers opened up? You can see that different layers say for different things, and this makes it easier to see. And did you notice one thing about them? Actually, there's a few things. What are those layers? What is this symbol? It's different than this one. That means this is a template layer. Okay, it will be used as a base to use our pen tool. Okay, and they're also locked so you don't touch them. And they're all named, so you know which layer you'll be using as a template. And we are right now in a working layer. So a few things, we just this paste up here, this is just for like practicing, kind of going over a few things. So let us go ahead and select the pen tool. P is for pen tool. And if you notice, if I click and hold, we have different options for pen tool. We have add anchor point, delete it, anchor point tool, and also notice the commands or the shortcut keys. P, plus, minus, that's using the P, and then you have Shift C. Those are important ones to use. There'll be other ones, other modifier keys that you would need to learn as well. Okay, so with the pen tool, now notice underneath the pen tool we have this is a newer tool. This is what's the name of this one? Like a drawing on a round shapes, easier connecting. I personally don't like it. It's my preference. Maybe because it's newer and I've used to the pen tool. But that's one thing I really like about this one is drawing the circle. So the curvature tool. Okay. So let me bring this up. So if we draw, just go ahead and select the regular pen tool P. Now make sure we can leave the fill, let's change that to a different color. So change it to maybe like reddish shade or pink reddish. Okay, and we can have the stroke on, that's fine. So if I draw a shape, and remember you can actually do the shapes, but let us go ahead and try to draw a square. So how would you do it? There's a modifier key you want to use, which is, yes, Shift. So I will probably do first point, click, and then another point. Hold the Shift key so it's a straight line. Now how would I know here how far to go? That's where measurements come into play. But if we mess up, we can always finish. So click another point, and you notice how that shape is becoming filled. Okay, then I will navigate at the end here, and I will close my shape. Important thing is closing your shapes, and that's where the cursor changes into the little round shape. Now when you're working with these, we're working with anchor points, okay? And all the lines that we have created right now, they are called, anybody else from the video, what are those lines called? The curved, smooth points, or they straight points, or corner points? No, corner points. There's nothing smooth about them. They're really sharp, right? So now we're working with corner points. Okay. Now mine is not a square, so what I'm gonna do, and you can see by selecting it, and you can go into the width and height and see that it is not very even. So if I do a square, what would be helpful to use? Grid, right? Grid line would be helpful. So I can go into my view. I mean, at this point you can actually change it, but you can go into your view and you have show grid. Okay. And a grid is a good friend when you're looking at precision. So when you select it now, you can modify it, or, you know, at this point, because we closed the shape, we can also adjust our width and height here as well. So you can make them even. So let us do 350 by 350 pixels. Okay? And it's even. Okay. Let us now create other points, which are, we're gonna try to do a circle. You think that will be hard or easy to do? It's not the easiest. Mike actually created the other assignment part in this one. So if let's say I want to do a circle, how would you start with a circle? Let's say I want to find like the 1 point. So let us just practice right now. I'm going to find here this point. And one thing I'm going to do differently, you cannot see this, can you? So let me get out of this and change my layers color so you can actually see it. Black, teal. Let me know if you can see this better or not when I'm selecting it. Can you see that better? Okay. So notice I clicked and I hold my mouse. This is one of your quiz, right? You have to do. So what is this creating? This is creating a smooth point. And it's called a Bezier. We're going to create a Bezier curve. It's a name from, I think it's French. Could be wrong. And the handles, they tell you two things: the steepness of the line, direction of the line. I mean, you can have them really long, and look what happens when I have them really long. I mean, and then this is not a circle. This is what not to do. Okay, so I would delete it. So if I'm just putting it here now, some of you might be very like sensitive, so if you drag it out, it's like a little bit like this. Okay, that's okay. So let's just do a little bit like this. Then put another one at the end here. Just put a little bit. Okay. Then eyeball this. This is kind of middle. A little bit. Okay. So I'm going to just do a little bit at a time. And one thing, and this is, they should have fixed it in 2015. Anytime you close the shape, you have to drag the handles out again. That's annoying like heck. If you don't, it's gonna be like left-sided. But is that a circle? Well, I can adjust it. So don't worry like, oh, that looks like a squished ellipse, right? It does. Okay. But I can adjust these. What tool would I use to make adjustment to points? Direct selection tool. Okay. So there'll be a shortcut we'll be using a lot. So A is for direct selection tool. That is right here on your keyboard. Okay, we can actually select these. We can move them. So notice I can select the different lines and move them. Let me zoom in for you. Okay. I can select this one. I can move it. Okay. Now it's not a really great circle. I mean, it's kind of like, if somebody didn't know better, could not really see it, they may from the distance, from like 5 miles, think it's a circle. But we know it's not a circle, right? And honestly, when it comes to circles, they're not the easiest ones to draw. So you can adjust it. So, but the only thing I want you to just practice with the lines and then creating them. Now, if you hold the shift key, it will go smooth point. But let me show you what a curvature tool will help you with creating a circle. And what I'm gonna do for this one is to kind of help us out a little bit is, actually let me select the curvature tool. Anybody use that tool? So click and select curvature tool. Now hold and drag, it will create a smooth point. Hold and double click, it will create corner points. So notice what I mean. I click here and just notice right now, I click here, okay, and then here, let's say here, and then I drag it out. Notice it's creating like a corner, right? Now you have to know your distances. So see what I click? This is the line that shows how I clicked it, and now it's kind of curving it. That looks much better than the one I tried with my pen tool, to me, right? At least that side. Now I just have to be even. So again, kind of look, guide yourself, see how far you have to go with that tool. I'm gonna go here. Okay, click, and then the end. Which one is the circle? I think I like this tool for the circles. What do you think? If yours isn't perfect, you're not using the grid correctly, so practice. So for the curvature tool, it's really cool for creating round shapes. I mean, I'm skilled with pen tool, but if I have to do a ellipse from just pen tool, I have to adjust things, okay? But this tool, much faster. So go ahead and practice with this one. So now, if I zoom out, this is just scratch pad. So if you anytime you're frustrated with doing the rest, you'll be like, I'm just coming here. So go ahead and navigate to the logo, U of H logo. Now, one thing that personally I like to do is I like to switch my mode of working. Notice if I start working right now on this, I want to trace this shape, and I want to choose a red. Actually, Cougar Red is Pantone 186. It is a spot color, right? We don't need to choose that one, right? But we want to choose a reddish shade. So for my fill, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna choose that fill, and then go and select red from my swatches. Just go and select the red, like a darker red. But first watch me, so see what happens. So I'm gonna select my pen tool, and you notice those are all straight points. So I'm clicking and then I'm holding my shift key because we will trace it over. But notice what happens, it closes my shape, and I go over and I'm like, what is happening? And sometimes when you go over like this may happen, and you'll be like, huh? And you can sometimes see the line where you actually have to draw. So, two options. Actually, that's more than two. You can scream. But a better option is to go under View, Outline, or Command Y. So you can just see the line. The other one are templates, so you cannot see it, okay? I can go back. I'm going to go back to Preview. And I told you already that Command key when you click on the eye. You see, it toggles between those two visibilities. So now I'm actually in my outline. So I just clicked on my layers. I went back to my preview mode. I hold my Command key, and my eye changed to show outline. Outline means no color, so I can see the lines. I don't know how well you can see mine. So one thing, in you working with the pen tool, if you're not perfect in the beginning, that's okay. Don't just quit. If you quit, your shape will not close. You want to try to be as good as you can, but make sure you finish. This is called tracing with a pen tool. Tracing with a pen tool, and then close the shape, and you can always go in it. You can add points, you can delete points, and you can adjust the different points, okay? Now the rule is really simple. The least points you have, the better. But sometimes there's a lot of shapes, right? I mean, do I want to make this line? I can't have 20 shapes like this. Yes, I can. That doesn't mean you should have that many. So I will undo it. Undo is a good friend. Okay, and I will trace around it with my pen tool. So you can watch or do it if you're good, but again, try to do it all. If you off a little bit, like notice I'm off, and hold the shift key, and later we move the whole line. I'll show you how. So just try to do your best. Really, in this case, the shift key will be your friend. Okay, so let's go around the edges and keep tracing it. The whole U of H logo. Right? So only we doing is drawing the lines and clicking, right, on with our mouse. So keep going, keep going. Should be quick. You don't have to be as quick as me. And another thing, always zoom in, because if you're not zoomed in, you will see that you're not very precise. So tracing with a pen tool, be precise, zoom in, so you can see the mistakes or not good selections. Now here I'm not holding a shift key because it's not, here I am, okay. Some of those diagonal lines don't hold the shift key because they're not precise, but most of the, all of the straight lines, I am holding shift key. So once you practice, uh-oh, I lost my view. Let me go change my view. There. If you lost your view with a pen tool, command 0, I think that's what I clicked. And close the shape. If you notice, I didn't draw my lines like straight and nice for a reason, so I can fix it. So, it's nice to be perfect from the beginning, but you can always go into your tools and do things. So, in order to change this, like the lines, one thing, you can go select your selection, direct selection tool, A, don't forget that, and I can click on this line, or actually don't drag the whole thing. I can click on the points and move them, and I can actually move 2 at a time by clicking on one, holding my shift key, selecting the second one, and moving the line. You see how I did that? Okay, so click on one, hold the shift key, select the second one. So if you're not precise like that, or you can actually just hover under those two and then move it. Okay, so depending how you want to fix it, if you're not precise with your lines, go ahead and just try to change them a little bit. So if my lines are so straight, I will just move them here. This one isn't straight, so I'm going to fix that. Okay, I'll try to. I think it wants to be straight for me. Okay. So I'll be selecting these 2 points and moving them. Okay? Can stick out a little bit. So just go check around anywhere where you need to move the points. Okay, don't worry about the inside here. Right? Just want you to worry about the points. Okay. Now one thing here I want you to see, do you have 2 points on this side, right? Do you have 2 points? That's good. Because I want you to have 2 points. Because it's not a straight line here. Now, if anytime you have to delete points, let's say you had too many, you can always go to your pen tool and then select delete anchor point from it. Now, we don't need to here, but that's an option, okay? So once I fix my lines, next thing is I want to make sure I bring the visibility of my layer back so I can see the color, okay? So I will click on my command key on my keyboard and in the eye, so I can make sure my lines are good, so I can see the fill correctly. Okay? Everybody sees it okay? Good. So next we will unclick out of it with your selection tool, so it's not selected anymore. So select your selection tool V and unclick out of it. Okay? We will move on to the next shapes. And you can do this one easily. Do you notice you have multiple of these shapes? What did I tell you? Practice, practice, practice. So what I want you to do next, because you can do the square easily, okay? I want you to do the square. Just use that as a template and then draw a square. It can be red, I don't care. So use your pen tool and then click the points And I'm holding my shift key, so I have all straight lines. So I want you to do all of 3, okay? I think there are only 3. So finish that one. Do all of those. I don't have to do all of them for those watching, so I just do 2. Now, after you finish the square, let us go on this shape. The starting point is important, and we have several kinds of points. We have, in this one, we have straight points, which are corner points. So we have corner points, and we have smooth points. So it really doesn't matter where you start. I will start with a side here. Okay, click on it. Then I will click on this point, because this is where my straight point finishes. I hold my shift key, it's a straight point. Click. Then navigate to the middle of that shape. The middle is important. Okay. Click and drag the handles. Notice, okay, so the handles show you which direction you're gonna go. Notice the difference. If I hold my handles and move them down, what happens if I move them the opposite way? It goes the wrong way. So they show you which direction the curve will go, right? So notice if I move it down, I know that the next point is gonna go down. See that? Look the difference. What happens to my curve? Right. Also, you want to keep them in this point. Notice we probably keep them really straight, and they're pretty steep. So Mike has a rule, and he taught me this. Mike actually will learn it from Lynda.com. That, like the third rule, where you kind of move it third way. So move it out like this. Click. This is my shape so far. Then I will click where my straight point meets, somewhere here. And I just click, and I don't drag it out, okay? Click only once. Then click at the end. Click, and then finish the shape. And that's it, right? So then do the next ones. Let me know if you need me to remind you. I will do one again so you can see it. I'm clicking. Just hold my shift key, click here. Then I click in the middle of that shape and drag my handles down, because that's the direction I'm going. Okay. And then click at the end here. You don't have to be as close as you can. Click at the end and then close the shape, right? So that's what I want you to do with these next. The reason why, if we do in the next shape, and we will not have any fill, and I will have just the stroke. So I'm going to have the stroke red. I will switch, swap it, and then I will turn my fill to none. Okay, so I can see it. So one thing here, if I go my pen tool, P for pen, okay, notice it's pretty zigzaggy shape, and it's all smooth point. And if the least points you have, the smoother the shape, the better it's gonna look. Okay, I mean, you can do it in few points, like 1, right? You can do that. Let's say, I'm not very precise right now, but you can do it in several points. But let us try to do it in 2 points. So I'm gonna click here and kind of determines me a few things: the direction of the curve, the steepness. So the direction you draw it out is the way you go. Notice when I'm drawing this one, okay? And then the final one. So I went the wrong way, didn't I? Right, I told you the direction of it will determine, and again, I delete. A few times you will delete it. So the direction of this matters. Let me see if I'm the right way now. Okay, so notice what happens if and we can fix it in a minute. But notice which way, don't go this way. That matters. So go like this. This is close, 2 points. And then we will close the shape, hold the escape key. Escape, it will escape it. We're done. We don't need to fill it. It's only a line. So escape it. Now I'm going to go to my direct selection tool, hold this up and fix that a little bit. Okay? So you need to manipulate some of the handles, but you can do it in 2. There, mine is almost done there. See, notice how steep my... Okay, there, I have two. So I have to manipulate the top and the bottom. They're overlapping, and you can see how long my handles are. So when you finish it, okay, you cannot see it. If you don't see stroke on top, go window, stroke, and add some thickness to it. My stroke is right here. We can add few, maybe like 5 points, so you can actually see it. Okay, so make it, you can make it thicker, like 5 points will be fine. I think we should save it, because what would happen if you lose it? You would have to redo it. So go ahead and go File, Save As. So I want you all to save it, because I'll tell you how to save it. I want you to put this, you will only submit this one file. That's it, okay? So you can put it under your name. Okay, so navigate to your name. If you don't have it here, you haven't dragged it. You won't be able to save it otherwise. I mean, you can save it to your documents that are local, but I need you to have it on the server too. Okay, documents, and if you have your lab assignment 2 already there, you can save it inside that. Okay, and we are going to name it. So I'm deleting everything before the period AI. Your last name with capitalized first letter, first name initial capitalized, underscore, assign to underscore W. Okay, so I told you already it will be the saving convention for all of them, so I won't even tell you next time. So go ahead and save that. Again, if Monday is watching, Monday, you know what to do, not W. Okay, don't do W, otherwise you'll be graded with Wednesday lab, and it's a different submissions. Okay, let us go ahead and move towards the lower one, the one that looks like a wave or something like that. Again, I have no fill, stroke, it's 5 points and it's red, and I will be using my pen tool. So you always look at the starting point, so click, okay, and then don't let go of the mouse. You want to have a good starting point where you actually add a curve. So notice how I move it like this out. So what I'm doing, I don't want to go this way, right? My shape goes this way, right? Doesn't it? It goes this way? It doesn't go this way. It goes this way, the steepness. So I want to drag it towards the direction of my curve, and not all the way, because you know the third rule, you want to go third out. And then right here, click right in the top of the peak, drag it out. Now we can always adjust it. Like this side is pretty crooked. Then go on the bottom here, again the middle of the bottom, click, drag it out. Do you notice how straight my line is in the bottom? Should be on top too, but that's okay, right? And I know this is not to make those handles long, and really how you would know? By practicing. It's not like, how do I know? Practice, you will know. But just notice always how steep is the shape, because the more steep it is, the longer it will be, right? The line, the Bezier handles. So then I click right here on, again, the middle peak. Call it a peak because it looks like a, and then click at the end, and then escape. Right, so how many points I have? 1, 2, oh, don't click on that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points. All right, so go ahead and draw